So let's start with Bitcoin. We had the massive candle, which was pretty much caused by liquidations in combination with, I'm sure you guys have read about, the algorithmic buys across, it was Coinbase, Bitstamp, and one of the other fiat on-ramp exchanges. And that brought us all the way up to 53.30 last night. And now we're retracing. So, not sure how far down we're going to go. Right now we're at support. I'd like to see this hold. If 48.38 held, then I wouldn't expect too much from Bitcoin right away. At least some kind of bounce, and that'll let alts move quite a bit. So, watching ETH right now. Broke out from previous highs. We had a candle close. Oh, there's the alarm. So what's going on here? So slowly moving down. Still pretty much don't really want to see too much further below this wick. But since it's kind of a slow bleed, I'm not too worried about anything going crazy at this point. Look at the volume relative to here. So ETH, I really want to see like 150 hold. Anything really below that, then this wouldn't look too good. But right now it's retesting previous highs, so I like that. I started along on MEX recently, and I'm targeting equal highs of around up here, which is resistance from this lower level previous support. So eventually, as long as this current dip doesn't get too crazy, I think we'll reach up to at least 200, and then 226, 230 would be the ultimate target. $47.60 was the last support. Kinda. I'd say 4,700 flat, right around here. I wouldn't want to see anything below there. But I sold some of my alt positions out. I'm sitting on some tether. Still have most of the alt positions open. NEO is one I've been covering a lot, so let's go over that. For Bitcoin value, it broke out above previous highs, went all the way up to 27.43, and is now retesting. So I think this would actually be a pretty good entry on NEO if you're not in right now. You could wait a little bit to see how Bitcoin reacts. If Bitcoin can find support, adding here wouldn't be a bad idea. But there are some other setups I like a little bit better now that NEO has ran quite a bit. So I was also playing this first tether. And yeah, it's a pretty solid drop so far. Pretty much I'd want to see $12 hold for support on NEO. And then I'd expect a little bit of consolidation, but I don't think it's going to stop here. Once we get a daily close above 12.73, this resistance here, we're definitely charging for 15.6. And that's the ultimate target of the position I have now. for the rest of it. Is it best to trade USD pairs right now? I mean, that's what I'm paying attention to more. A lot of the Bitcoin pairs there's just not a lot of price action to really tell what's going on there. So as Bitcoin's been running, I've been playing the USD pairs, also selling into them too. If alts and Bitcoin are going to go down together, so you might as well sell into USD and hold your value, rebuy lower. Is it good to enter alt positions now if not entered already? Yeah, I mean, I'd be buying this dip. You can wait and make sure, support holds here, but as long as it does, then I think this is a fine place to enter on alts. So one thing I'm watching for on Ethereum, we'll use this for the price correction lesson that I was talking about. So we'll start on the daily. There's not a ton you can see, but after a strong move up, go down to the 4-hour, strong move up, just continuous bodied candles closing higher than the other. And then we finally get some correction, quick down. For RSI, tops out here, and then we get the second high. Now, divergence isn't confirmed until the candle closes, so it would have closed all the way down here. That's not really a good signal to tell you to sell when it's already dropped. But there is a clear divergence here. You can see that forming, obviously, as price is moving. And this would be a good indication that it's time to get out, that this is probably, whether you want to call it a top or not, it's likely that you'll be able to buy lower, so you might as well sell. You could also see this on the hourly. So tops out there. So from this point to this point, here to here, price is going up, RSI is going down, clear divergence, goes again, and this divergence did play out. This is a drop and builds back up, still another low relative to price, the highs. So those are your signs the price is topping out. And then let's look at the correction. So one way you can do it is the retracement tool, the fib retracement tool. What I'll do is take the entire move. Oh, I have it flipped. So you can take the whole move, and your sweet spots are always going to be 0.618 down to 0.786, somewhere in between here. That's kind of where price is right now. So this big wick from the drop took us down to that middle area. That's really as far as you want to see. You don't want to see anything below the 0.786, which, as we can see, is really where the breakout was. So if it does get down here, then price is likely to just fall, because there's that volume gap here from the strong candle up, so it'd be the same way down, straight down. Now let's take a look at the structure. So from the top you get the big drop, and you get this massive wick, and we see this play out a ton, especially on Ethereum and Bitcoin. Bitcoin did the same thing here, right? So when we see a big drop from Bitcoin or ETH, and you'll see this on others too, but I found this pattern very clearly on these two. We get the wick, price bounces up, and then it usually has trouble regaining what was support and now becomes resistance. So can't get back up, dwindles around. A lot of times we'll see it form a pennant here, and then we'll see either a break up or a breakdown. So if you want to, on low time frames, you can zoom in after this drop. You see it building, and you can draw in this trend line. And if it ever gets above and closes above, that might be an indication that price may be breaking up. Now, what you'd really want to see is a close above this clear resistance. If price can close above it, I would wait for a drop back down to it. If it holds, then this would be a good position for a long. Unfortunately, that did not happen. It broke down, so you can see the same thing here. When you're, when you have a pattern like this drawn out, price breaks down, so you have candle closes, albeit they're 15 minutes, outside of this trend. So it's broken. Price comes back up, retests it, can't make it in, and then drops down. Now, another thing that I find common with ETH and Bitcoin and other drops too, I'll see something like this forming, where you can see kind of a clear trend line defining all the candle closes here. You'll see the wick will usually close outside of it. And usually when I see this pattern, not all the time, it tends to break up. Not necessarily making new highs, but we usually find at least a break up from here, and usually a test of the lower level before the drop. So kind of where structure broke right here. So I'm long on ETH right now. I've started building a position, and I'm aiming for these highs right here around 173. You could call this a falling wedge. I guess it is. I don't know. Sometimes I'm hesitant to name patterns if I'm not sure what they are, but whatever it is, I see this play out a lot. Another thing to pay attention to, when you get this big wick down and then it comes back up here, when price is messing around up here, it's likely never going to truly break out from this point. It'll usually drop down and then maybe break out or drop down further. Price is usually going to come back pretty close to wherever this wick is. So you can always count on that. And that's usually when I want to start my longs. So price comes down here, messes around in the pennant, drops down pretty close to that wick. Volume's not crazy, and we're starting to see a bullish divergence on the 15-minute. And yes, it's a low time frame, it's 15 minutes, but for entries on this kind of price structure, for corrections, I go down to 15 minutes, and this is what I'm looking for. So I see this divergence. That told me to start entering, so I started building the long here. And now I'm hoping price breaks out over here and makes its way up. So that's the price correction lesson. Let's see what questions we got here. Okay, any questions on the stuff I just went over? If you have them, shoot them out now, or I'll start getting to these questions. BNB did not move with Bitcoin at all. Cost me a lot of Bitcoin. Should I just hold BNB? I haven't been paying attention to BNB, honestly. The only reason I hold it is for trading fees on Binance. Once it went so high, I kind of ignored it. I think there are better options out there. Is the overall trend reversed and we are bullish now, or we will see a large retracement? Right now, yeah, I mean, I'm bullish. I think the trend's bullish. We accumulated for, been down here for 132 days. So that's just over 4 months. And we had the largest volume we've seen since the drop. Breakout here. Yeah, I'm pretty bullish. Does that mean we won't retrace down to here? No. But in terms of trend, yeah, trend is currently up, at least in the short term, probably in the midterm. How did you pick your bottom fib? It's a good question. Everyone, you can kind of figure it out, do it your own way. But I like to measure the move, and that being, I do it one of two ways. You can do it from the very bottom to the very top if you're looking for, fibs for this entire range. Or if you just want to look at the move that currently happened to see where it would just be a retrace or a correction rather than like a deep retrace, then I'll do it for these big candles. I'll do it right at the bottom of the candle to whatever it tops out on the wick. So you can see that right now 0.618 is confluent with where price is finding support, and it's also the previous highs here. So that's how I use fibs. Bought at 165 for ETH. Should I have sold and rebought low or hold? Buying and selling and rebuying is entirely up to your trading strategy, the time frame you prefer to work in. If you can't be at the computer all the time and spending your time, on the charts, then trying to buy and sell multiple times in a day or even a week, I don't think is worth your time. You're better off just holding. What about Raven? Down or up? Take a look at Raven real quick. Ooh. So something I use for bigger picture trends is just a 20 moving average. I'll use a 200 too, but it doesn't have the price history. I had to close below the 20. If it can't reclaim it, then I think it may be retracing more. Could also keep going up. I don't know. That's kind of the channel it's playing around in. From here, it's had a pretty big drop. I think it's going to at least try and get up to here. If it can, I think if it can reclaim this level, 1550, then it might go for new highs. But not something I'm really paying attention to right now. NANO, however, is. I like NANO. So it had a pretty bullish move when Bitcoin, it was around here, 27.59, and then when Bitcoin had its crazy move, dropped all the way down to 25.41 and all the way up to 3,200, and now it's retesting that breakout here. So I like Nano as a buy. I bought some yesterday, bought some more about an hour ago. Versus USD, could see it retracing a little bit more, but yeah, as long as the support holds, I'm happy holding Nano. I think it'll do well. Oh, and 200. So it's also retesting breakout of the 200 moving average, which if you've followed me at all, you know that's something I love to play. So that's another reason why I'm buying Nano right here. We have the breakout, it's coming down, retesting the 200 moving average. Let's take out our fibs, and from the whole move, it's retraced to the 0.5. So that's good for an entire move from the bottom. And then just from this candle, I had these flipped again, didn't I? It's down to the 618 for this move. So that's what we want to see. Hopefully nothing below it. How's ETH doing? It wants to break up. Look at it. See, it's pushing. Come on. Almost there. I think it'll do it. Bitcoin, nice wick on this. We still got 30 minutes till close, but it's looking good. We got some divergence on here too. Low, lower low, low, slightly higher. It's the 15-minute though, so can't give it too much credit. Where am I from? States. Yep. How do you choose time frame for confirmation? Depends the time frame you're trading. Right now I'm looking at the daily and the 4 hour because most of my trades are not something I'm doing short term. The ETH trade is, since it's on leverage. So this I'm using 15 minutes. But I may end up holding it depending how price acts. I'll definitely be taking profit at 173. But if things are exploding, I'm not gonna close it out. I'll let it take new highs because on a high time frame, ETH looks like it wants to continue higher. Right? It just broke previous highs, just like Bitcoin, broke out of accumulation. It's broke above. It's now retesting the top of that range. Also retesting the 200 moving average. I think it's going up. Main target would be 200. Greedy target would be 225. Let's take a look at EOS. This is an interesting one. A lot of the Bitcoin charts look pretty interesting right now because of all the Bitcoin volatility. But EOS looks strong. it may need a little more consolidation in this area, but it's been above the 200 for a while. Consolidated here, broke out, equal highs at 10,600, broke down for Bitcoin volatility, and now it's holding. So I want to see this support hold at 10K, which it looks like it will, and if it does, we've pretty much got clear skies once 10,600 breaks, and I think it would reach up to probably this 1600 level eventually, which is about the same place as where Litecoin is now relative to its chart. So that's what I'm looking for on EOS. Let's look at it versus USD. Oh, trading view doesn't want to let. There we go. So versus USD came up, tested highs, and then broke out. What I would like to see is I'd like to see this level hold where it's at now. I was kind of hoping $5, but I think we'll likely eventually see 4.6 retested. Not sure if that'll happen now though. It did stop right on the 4-hour 20 moving average, which is nice. I use this for trends also. As long as it's above, price stays above the 4-hour, that's a good sign. ELA, sorry, but I've never even heard of that. Do you use default settings on the VPVR? No, I use 100 rows. I don't know if 70 is the default or not, but 100 and 70 are the inputs I use. Yes, this will be recorded and it'll be posted on YouTube. Is it usual for alts to reclaim their Bitcoin value soon after? Relatively soon, yeah. I mean, it can take a few days, sometimes weeks. Usually not weeks. It would really be in that case if Bitcoin dumped. Pretty much when Bitcoin ends up going sideways, that's when you'll see the alts besides large caps start to regain. Quark chain has held up well. Are you more drawn to buying blood or finding alts that hold their SAT value? I mean both. I'm really looking for coins that are strong versus USD and versus Bitcoin, and are trending up right now. So that's why I like EOS. That's why I like NEO. That's why I like NANO, which showed strength when Bitcoin was volatile, and is now retesting its breakout. So that's what I'm looking for. Bcash looks interesting. Kind of annoyed I missed this because I was waiting for it and I just wasn't paying attention to Bcash when this broke out. But it is retesting 275 now. So it would give about a 50% move versus USD up to the 400 level to fill in this gap. If it does continue up, which if Bitcoin and Ethereum continue up, then Bcash will too. So almost. BAT. I was stopped out of BAT. I sold most of it, but held some, and then was stopped out when Bitcoin went crazy. So yeah, I'm glad I was stopped out around here. Yeah, it's retracing, but it'll have its day. It's not dying. So again, this 20 moving average confluent with previous highs that it broke out of around this 5600 area. So, I mean, I think this is a pretty good buy. Anything lower, I wouldn't be interested. This is where I'd want to buy if I wanted to get into BAT, which I don't right this second. I think it'll do well, but there are other alts that I think will do well before it. So those are the alts I want to be in. But BAT is definitely on the list for the next week or two. What else we got? Is Bcash ABC or SV on Binance? Both of them are on Binance. Is that a gap in the Bcash chart? Yeah, it's for when it forked. Technically, Bcash ABC is the Bcash chain, the original blockchain, and SV is the fork. So, yeah, this is technically a gap. It won't show on the ABC chart. When is good time to rebuy Bitcoin? I'm not rebuying Bitcoin until it gets back down to 4K, 4200. Yes, gaps have a high probability of being filled. We never pulled up Quark Chain. Let's take a look. Yeah, I still like Quark Chain. I don't know if it's going to go right away, but I think it should start moving pretty soon in the next few days, I would think. Yeah, and it's held support here. This is what you want to see. It broke out, and now it's sitting on top of support. And I would call this a falling wedge also. So it's really just a matter of time. I honestly think this could break out in the next 24 hours. At least out of this pattern. I'm not saying it necessarily goes crazy right away. And then versus UST. It looks very similar to NANO, in my opinion. That's probably why I like both of them. So we've kind of got a level of support here, and that seems to be holding. And resistance got up here. But I think Quark Chain's going to do well. I've outlined it before in my other content, but with the mainnet seemed to be a nice catalyst for things these days. So Steam, I played the mainnet launch. That did really well. Wabi, I did not play, but that performed really well right before its mainnet. So I think Quark Chain will do the same. So Quark Chain and Nano are two really good buys right now, I think. As long as you're patient. They might not be the next to go right away, but pretty soon. I think ETH and EOS, NEO, the majors, I think these will continue a little bit more. I'll cover ONT and VET because I like those also. This chart's a little sloppy. So what I like about ONT, it's been respecting this trend line. And right now it's been consolidating in this area for quite a bit. You can see this resistance at 3200. And once that breaks, I think we've got a clean run up to 4K. And when 4K breaks, that's when things will probably go pretty crazy. Got resistance there and there. So once this cracks open, 44%, 78%, I think that'll happen pretty quickly. I don't think this is going to crack open immediately. So if you're not looking to enter the trade now, once it does hit here, I'd be looking for retraces to enter. If it breaks out and gets that high, it'll take a little time, I think. But I like it here. It's got to break out soon. It's got to break out or break down. I don't think it's breaking down unless Bitcoin does. And then versus USD. So it's finding support at 1.5. And I'd like to see that hold. If that can hold, I think the next time it pushes up here for the third time, it'll break. And it's got some nice room to run. Pretty confluent with the Bitcoin resistance. So, and of course your USD gains are going to be more than Bitcoin value. So this is a 77% versus USD value in what would be, I think, a 30% increase in, or 23% increase in Bitcoin value. So I like ONT. It's one of the coins with NANO and Cork chain that I'm looking to add. What do I use as a crypto news source? Twitter. Usually anything important is going to pop up there a few times and then I'll read it. Fan of ENJ or Doge? I looked at the ENJ chart earlier today. No, I'm not a fan. Doge, it already bumped. I wouldn't enter now, personally. I feel like for Doge, you're either in at the beginning or you can try and hop in, but it's a pretty volatile coin. I don't like to. Do I have any small caps in mind for whenever we hit that portion of the cycle? I don't know. Is mainframe still a small cap? I think so. Mainframe is probably interesting. How can you email me? tortoisetrades@gmail.com. What would be the next move to capitalize on for those who missed this surge 2 days ago? Just whenever this retrace completes, whether it's now. I think now's a good buying opportunity, like I've been discussing most of this stream. Yeah, tips are for buying as long as these supports don't break here for Bitcoin, and pretty much 150 for ETH. I wouldn't even want to see that. 150, 153. So if you looked at other exchange tokens, people say those pump the hardest whenever we are ready. No, I only trade alts on Binance and BitMEX. So I know there's other opportunities out there, other exchanges. I just don't touch them. I like the liquidity on Binance, and I like the liquidity on BitMEX. I like the trading UI on BitMEX. I wish Binance's was a little better, but good enough. VPVR, does it affect my decisions? No, it more just adds confluence and makes it easier for me to see things. Just makes it lazier. It's like, obviously I know this is strong support here, but on lower time frames it can help. Just helps me look at support and resistance a little quicker. That's all. If you're getting into shorting, then there's probably leverage allowed, so I'd be careful. Is bad a good buy now? Yeah, if you're patient, I think so. Fed has dropped a lot. How do you see performing over the next few weeks? It's got to go up at some point. Fed and Seller are both they're beat down pretty bad, but they'll go up eventually. Any idea about Dent? I don't know. I think Dent's pretty beat. Jesus, making new lows. I don't know. As long as like news didn't come out that something bad happened, then it'll go up eventually. Not something I'm interested in right now. Too short at all? Yeah, I haven't been recently because it's not with the trend. But I was shorting ETH a lot the past few months. Well, I think that is all I got for tonight. Looks like some volume's coming in. Hourly is 15 minutes from closing. Hopefully it can get a little bit higher. At least closing above 48.40 would be a good start. And ETH moving up. It's almost there. So these will be what I'm keeping an eye on for not much longer. I'm going to bed. What kind of time window do you trade over? Depends. Right now it's mostly days. How do we hedge Bitcoin both ways to protect ourselves in both cases? USD. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. That's all I got for tonight. The recording should be up by tomorrow, so if you want to rewatch anything, it'll be there for you. If you have any questions, you can always DM me on Twitter. And that's it.